What's up, everyone? Welcome to Level 7. It's time for another episode of the Agents of Fandom podcast. I'm your host, TJ Zwarych, and I'm excited because although we've been having a pretty quiet stretch here on the podcast, we've made sure to give everyone at least one show a week with the Comic Corner. We've been throwing in a few other Agents of Fandom ones as well, Damon. Oh, I buried the Damon's with us today. How you doing, Damon?
Hi.
Hope you're doing great. I didn't do my regular introduction. I'm sorry. I forgot. It's been a while, like I was saying.
He's rusty.
I am rusty. But we are coming back into a stretch where we are back, my friend. We are going to be here all the time. Today, we are going to break down some Marvel news that dropped over the week, with one big one in particular with Spider-Man Brand New Day. And then, of course, we'll be talking everything you need to know about Ironheart before it debuts tonight on Disney+. The first 3 episodes. This has come out of absolute nowhere, but it's here, and we're going to be talking about it. Plus, we got our brand new Love Island show, Talk Island, that is dropping every single Wednesday. We are going to be back this week. I know we have myself, Adam, and Caroline joining for that one. We'll see if we can get at least one more so we can get a little quadrant going for that one. And then next week, we are going to be back with a podcast for The Bear, because guess what? That also drops this week. And you would never know it because they're dropping all the episodes at once. I haven't seen any promotion, like, at all.
It's just all going to Fantastic Four. That's it. All the money. Sorry,
real.
Elio. Sorry, Ironheart. Sorry, the Bear. All Fantastic Four. That's it. Just all in on it. The Bear fans will show up. We know that. It's fine.
It's crazy. Like, I haven't heard about anything. Yeah, that's a good point when you actually like extend it to Ironheart, the Bear, and Elio as well. As like you see almost no promotion for any of these, but I guess when you look at it as all under the Disney umbrella, all that money is going to Fantastic Four. So that's a really good point. But we're going to get into all of this. Before we do, I want to say what's up to our chat. Thank you so much to those who are joining us live. Hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Most of you that are here, I assume, have already subscribed. So most importantly, please hit that like button for us. It benefits the videos, helps us grow this community. And we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Is in addition to the shows, Comic Corner, Love Island, The Bear, Ironheart. We also have Superman coming. We have Fantastic Four coming. Maybe we do a show for Jurassic World. It's probably not going to be me. I don't know if it's going to be you, Damon, but we could probably make it happen. And then we also have some really great interviews coming from one of our brand new agents, Chris Mills, who got to chat with some of the creators behind Ironheart. And that'll be dropping this week as well. So stay tuned for that. All right. Let's dive into this, Damon. And what I want to know first is what you're watching and what you've been reading, because I feel like I actually haven't talked to you for a while.
Yeah.
Jam in chat, in the YouTube chat, says it'll be Jam for Jurassic World. Hell yeah. Jam is in for Jurassic World. I'm sure I can get Sean in. We'll probably get a couple other people, and we're going to make this happen. So we got our first guest, our friend Jam Session, as you know him on his YouTube channel, as well as on the alternate timeline. That's our guy, and we're going to have him back on there. So that is perfect. Brandon's excited. He says he loves when Jam is on the pod. Anytime I bring up Brandon's comments, it always makes me laugh because it's like, oh, hey, Chad Michael Murray, what are you doing there in that little picture popping up? But good stuff. I want to know, Damon, what you watching?
I've been watching a lot of the Club World Cup because I'm just a soccer holic, and I can't go more than like a week, I guess, of just not watching the sport. So been enjoying that for the most part. Was able to go to New Jersey to go watch my favorite team play in a very exciting 0-0 draw at MetLife. So that was fun. On the reading side, I mean, look, the Ultimate and the Absolute books from Marvel and DC, respectfully, are fantastic. I talk about it every single week on the Comic Corner. I talk about it every single week whenever we do an Agents of Fandom like main show as well. If you aren't reading that, you should, because it's great and it's great storytelling. I've been playing a lot on my Switch too. A lot of playing Pokemon Violet, and really just enjoying that CFPS. It runs how it always should have. A lot of Mario Kart, and yeah, stuff like that. Just been enjoying myself as much as I can as this ridiculous heat is just cranked up on us and appears that it's just not going away.
It is not here right now. It's, converting for my American friends. It's only like a cool 60 degrees here right now. And so nice.
It's
And
102 here.
yeah, it'd be great if we could kind of just split the middle, right? Like I'd take some 80 for both of us. That'd be pretty great. That'd be fun for
Yeah,
a little start to summer.
70s. I'd take that.
Yeah, I want to shout out our friends in chat checking up on me, Brandon and Layla, because I was complaining to them in the group chat that I am in pain for this one. So we're going to try and keep the podcast pretty tight. We're going to try and get out of here as quick as we can. I didn't invite any guests. I wanted it to be a short little two-person podcast so we can get in and out real quick, because I threw out my back yesterday. What was I doing, you ask? I sneezed.
Damn.
And I felt a little twinge. And it wasn't like out of nowhere. It's a back injury from 8 years ago that acts up about once a year. I get these lower back spasms, and it just like completely debilitates me. And I will say, at this moment, I can already feel it getting worse since we've started sitting here. But at this moment, it's been like better than it has been at all in the last 2 days, because I just took a couple muscle relaxants. I had like a 20-minute hot shower with the steam room on in the shower. And so I'm feeling more loose than I have in the last 2 days. But at the same time, I can just feel it getting back to where it was before that. So we're going to keep it tight. I won't spend my time complaining. I will instead spend it talking about Ironheart and Spider-Man so that we can get out of here as quick as possible. In terms of what I'm watching, I've been watching a lot of Love Island. I still got to catch up on the last 2 episodes, which I've heard are absolutely wild. But then I'll be back on Wednesday chatting about it on our Talk Island show. And then I've started season 3 of Will Trent. If you're a fan of a procedural, detectives and someone with a crazy, like a interesting ability, or they're extra smart and they join a detective agency so that they can solve crimes, that kind of thing. Will Trent is a pretty fun show on it's on Disney Plus for me. Maybe it's Hulu for you guys. I'm not sure. Maybe it's on Disney Plus.
It's all one service now.
Oh, there you go. Oh, that's nice. I didn't realize it's
kind
all
of. It's
all locked
Disney
in one
Plus with like a Hulu bundle attached, but
yeah,
you could all find it on the app.
Will Trent's pretty fun. It's also on ABC, as Brandon pointing out, airing weekly if you are still someone who has cable. And then the other thing, I've been playing a lot of Nintendo Switch as well, and I do want to ask you: are the DLCs for Violet fun and worth it, or should I just be moving on to another Pokemon game once I finish Violet?
I usually do the DLC after I do the main story. Especially like the second one, the Blueberry Academy, is a proper follow-up to the main story. So you can do the first one whenever, but then the second one, it's like you go into an area where there's like level 70 plus Pokemon walking around. So you do you.
I think I will definitely check that one out then. I went straight from, I finished the Violet story, then I went straight into Brilliant Diamond, I believe. Is that the one? With Dialga on the front? And yeah, it's not great.
It's terrible.
It's really not great, but I'm playing it, and I'm almost done that one too. And then I think as soon as I finish that, I'll go back to the Violet DLC before I start another one. But I've been kind of just like ripping through. What?
That was the only Pokemon game I couldn't finish. I think I made it 3 gyms, and I was like, this is horrible. This is the worst remake I've ever experienced in my life.
It's literally just Kanto with a disguise. They remade.
I mean, like, go back and play Platinum if you're going to play those games.
Story.
I mean, go back and play Platinum if you're going to go play those games, because Platinum is really good. It's the actual remake of it is horrendous.
Fair. Well, I mean, I'm halfway through it, and so I'm 2/3 through it, so I'll just finish it up. But yeah, not all that great. But I will go back and play the Violet DLC. That's all I've done on my Switch 2 so far is replay Pokemon games. I haven't even downloaded the Mario Kart code I have yet, but I will be getting to that soon because I've heard it is an absolute blast. All right, let's start diving into the news side of things, though. I do want to give out one more shout out to our chat because they're active early and often here. We have many of our regular friends, plus we have your Comic Corner co-host, Fat Thor, aka TJ Pastilli, in here as well, hanging out. Hello, my friend, and make sure you all check out the Comic Corner on Thursday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern time because they chat all the brand new comics of the week and they theorize and they review, and it's a really, really good show for someone like me who picks up a comic every once in a while. I collect a lot more than I read, and I pick one up once in a while, but I just kind of want to stay up to date with what's going on. And so it's a very fun show for me as a listener where I don't actually have to be part of the production, be part of the hosting. I just get to watch the chat and chat. It's nice. But let's start diving in to some news because we have massive news here, especially for those of us who hoped for some kind of New York City. I'm not saying that what we are getting yet is any type of grounded Spider-Man movie. You know, I'm not saying that is what we're getting. But for those of us who hoped for that, or at bare minimum wanted us doing cool things in New York City, it's leaning at least in that direction because we have John Bernthal's Punisher making his big screen debut in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We have only seen him in TV shows so far, and now he's making his big screen debut with Spider-Man Brand New Day. We're going to have Peter Parker's Spider-Man. Who's Peter Parker? I don't remember. We're going to have Spider-Man. We are going to have the Punisher. All of our favorite Frank Castles, because John Bernthal is just absolutely so charming and incredible in this role. First things first, what were your thoughts when you heard this news? Do you think this is going to be a team up, or do you think this is going to be a one versus the other until it's a team up, or just straight foes going at each other the whole time? How do you think this is going to play out?
I don't see a world right now in the MCU where he would have the Punisher going after Spider-Man, because the Punisher doesn't really need to go after Spider-Man unless Spider-Man like did something terrible, but that's not who the Punisher goes after, you know? So I'd assume in this case, I feel like their paths were more so cross, sort of how we were hoping that Daredevil in Spider-Man's paths, the paths would cross. It seems like maybe the Punisher's pass will cross instead. Now, it gives me a little bit of hope that maybe they'll acknowledge what's going on in New York City with Fisk and all the shenanigans going on there after Born Again in this movie. But we also do know / have heard rumors, whisperings, whatnot, that the movies and the shows will be very separate from here on out. So who knows?
Which is also interesting considering all of these early Ironheart reactions, which we will get to, say the exact opposite.
Yeah, I have a theory on what they could do with that, and we'll get to it. But yeah, I'm excited. Look, if we're not going to get the Daredevil Spider-Man team up that we're all like, oh, we're going to get it. Well, maybe this is what we want. The Punisher is a very solid number two. Even if it's for like 5-10 minutes in the movie, it'll be very fun to see John Bernthal as the MCU Punisher up on the big screen.
Couldn't agree more. And I don't know if we can necessarily rule out that we're not seeing Daredevil yet. You know, like maybe if Punisher's in this, that means we do see him as well. I think that would be a lot of fun to get that kind of New York City team up, have a Fisk element of this show. It doesn't have to be the main story. It can even be kind of a side element if they are doing somewhat of a multiversal thing. I will throw out the theory that has been running around the internet because I want to know your thoughts on it here, which for me on the surface, I don't love, But having said that, I do really like one potential thing that could come out of it. And so like a month-ish ago, there were rumors floating around that Mark Ruffalo's Hulk was going to be in Spider-Man Brand New Day, and that there was going to be the Punisher and Spider-Man trying to take down a rampaging Angry Hulk. And I don't think anybody paid too much attention to this rumor until all of a sudden John Bernthal gets cast in this movie, and we're all going, oh, wait, that rumor had the Punisher. Do we have to pay attention to that rumor? What were your thoughts on this theory / rumor that we could potentially get a Hulk in here too?
I'm fine with that. Look, I know a lot of people really want an angry Hulk again, a rampaging Hulk, a scary monster Hulk. Because whether you enjoy Professor Hulk or not, it's very divided in that regard. So, just to keep things short, sure. I think it's fun. I'm all in on it. If we can't have a Hulk movie and we need to find a way to get back to an angry Hulk, and this is your way to do it, let's do it.
It did feel like my first thought was, do we really need Hulk in a Spider-Man movie? Like, I just want to give Spider-Man his time to shine. I don't know why the idea of Daredevil and Punisher is exciting to me with Spider-Man, but Hulk isn't. It was just like my natural gut reaction, and I don't really have a reason for it. But I do think it would be really cool if we get the moment, like kind of how I see it playing out in my head is if we get kind of like a angry rampaging Hulk for some reason, maybe a Mr. Negative getting into his head and causing a rampaging Hulk. Of course, anybody who's played the Sony Insomniac Spider-Man games will know Mr. Negative very well. That was there's been rumors of him being a part of that movie, this movie. And so maybe that could be where it comes in, and Punisher goes after him because he's rampaging through the city. And what brings Hulk back? We get that cool moment from comics where the one person who remembers Peter Parker is Hulk. Banner doesn't remember Peter Parker.
Was it this show or was it Comic Corner? I can't even remember anymore, where we brought up how we may get symbiote Peter.
I think that was Comic Corner.
That was Comic Corner, so I'll bring it up here. We had a theory that there's a chance we could get like the symbiote Peter, right? Like the Venom side of him, and how he's dealing with that alter personality, that other persona. And maybe that's what gets Punisher to come after him. And then there you go. Now we can have that Punisher aspect. But maybe Peter goes to Hulk for advice on it, accidentally brings out the rampaging Hulk. And now you have a rampaging Hulk plus a Venom Peter running around who's having his own personality issues. And then you throw the Punisher in there too, who's just trying to take both of them down, right? So you have that, at least that common thread of the dual personalities, that other persona going on for both of them. That's the connection between the two.
I like that. And I do kind of hope we do get that one comic moment, though, of like, since we erased everybody's memory of Peter Parker, I want the Hulk to remember him. Banner forgets, Hulk remembers. It didn't affect me. I wasn't there. He was in Banner form at the time, which we saw in She-Hulk. So I think it would work out perfectly to like, oh, Hulk remembers. And I think that would be a really cool moment to get between the two of them, of like, if Hulk is like, even if it is a symbiote situation, if Hulk's like, you're not acting like Peter. And he's like, wait, how? What? How do you remember me? And then we get
Peter's
that moment.
losing himself. Really
Hulk
cool. Finally gets back to Hulk form, like a calmer, rampaging Hulk. And he's like, you aren't you, Peter. And it's like, how do you know that name?
You aren't you,
to be cheesy. But, it's a comic.
Martha!
Cheese. Yeah. Oh, Lord. We're not going Martha.
How do you know that name?
Michelle Jones.
One other piece of news that I did want to throw in is we've had this rumor out there for a while. It's been reported and now it's been confirmed that Jake Schreier, director of Thunderbolts, will also be, I can't remember, writing, directing, helming, whatever it is. I can't remember which one off the top of my head. The X-Men movie that eventually is coming for Marvel Studios. We just saw him put a ragtag team of people that pre-MCU first appearances, nobody cared about any of them. You know, there was a few US Agent fans, maybe a few White Widow fans, but not all that many. And so before Florence Pugh made everyone fall in love with Yelena Belova, no one cared about Ghost. You know what I mean? Like, he just put together a ragtag team of people nobody cared about. And although it was not a box office success, who gives a damn? It was an incredible movie. It was a really, really good movie. What do you think of him as a choice for putting together a ragtag team of mutants that everyone really cares about? Similar premise, putting a team together of people who don't fit in, but the stakes are way higher.
Yeah, that's the difference. Now, I just want to say this is still in rumor form right now. There's no nothing, no big THR like this is happening. We're still kind of like in this is what we're hearing form. I'll let you figure that one out. But what makes the X-Men so good, and when they work, and I'm sorry to bring up this show, but it's a good show, is X-Men 97. It's when you bring in the drama, the soap opera-ness of it all. And so long as he's able to bring that into the movie, that's how it becomes a success. One of the fun things about the X-Men is that there's so many mutants you can pick. You can make up new mutants. It's fine. It's the X-Men. This is what they do. So you can throw in a very unknown character into this team surrounded by a bunch of your classics, a bunch of your favorites. I really enjoyed Thunderbolts. I think if he brings some of those ideas to an X-Men movie, it could work. He's very much shown that he can do a team movie, which is very important, and give everyone like their little moment. I think Ghost probably could have had a couple more moments, and that's one of the challenges when it comes to a team movie like this. And then who you make your lead in this case, whether it be a Jean, whether it be a Rogue, whether it be a Scott. So we don't know anything about this movie yet at all. We still don't even know who officially is on this team. That's up for grabs. It's interesting. I think this is probably, outside of like how Fantastic Four does and Doomsday and whatever, that X-Men movie, whether you agree with me or not, I think is the most important MCU movie going forward. If that movie doesn't hit, issues, real serious problems could be heading that way. Fantastic Four, we said, is like, that's like the thing that really matters. In the end, to me, X-Men is the thing that is like the make or break for a lot of people, maybe who would be coming in after Secret Wars or see Secret Wars, and then maybe they enjoy it, maybe they don't, and give it that one more chance type of thing. That's a make or break movie. I don't know if you agree with me on that or not. I think it's more so than Fantastic Four.
I agree with you, and I would even double down and take it to a higher level that I think it's more important than Doomsday and Secret Wars.
Sure.
Because
it's the future.
Because it's could be very much viewed as the new start. If we like, it's still, I recognize that the Avengers are like the current Marvel household name 100%, but I do think it is still very important to look back 20 years ago and remember that nobody gave two fucks about the Avengers.
Nobody knew who the Avengers were.
And everyone loved Spider-Man and the X-Men.
Yeah.
Fantastic Four #3. Like, that is what Hulk, that is Marvel. You know, not the Avengers, that team, right? Those teams, those individuals. And so I think with X-Men being after Secret Wars and being, if not a full restart, a partial restart, even if not a restart, a different angle, you know, a turning point into a new, even if they are not restarting any type of universal lore and all the canon will still be there, it's still a new storytelling start. We are bringing in the X-Men to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So like that to me is like X-Men is the #1 most important movie going forward, because that can renew everything. Even if Secret Wars were to fail, that could renew everything. If X-Men were to fail, that's when you have to start go, okay, what are we doing here?
Look at X-Men the same way that people are looking at the Superman movie.
Yeah.
It's a tone setter. It is the tone setter.
That it'll be looked at the same way if Secret Wars were to not go well. If Secret Wars were to go well, then it wouldn't be looked at in
even
the same
so
way.
If Secret Wars goes well, because if Secret Wars go well, that's like the same thing. It's like Endgame, right? Endgame went the wellest of well it could, and then it was after that. You immediately move on.
Yeah.
It's crazy how people do that. You immediately move on. You're like, okay, here we go. And you started with Black Widow, which had mixed reviews. I think you and I both enjoy it, but had mixed reviews. And then that kind of started a little bit of a rocky ship after that.
I think that it would just have a different vibe if assuming Secret Wars goes really well. I do think it's the same as like, this is a new start, really important movie type scenario as Superman. But I think it would be different because Superman is coming in of like, this has to hit because we don't trust you. If Secret Wars hits, Marvel regains trust. And yes, X-Men is a very important new start to the new direction, but it still buys them a little bit more time. Whereas if Superman fails, yes, DC is like, they're probably not going to fold DC Studios after creating this all new thing, but the public's perception will be gone if Superman isn't good.
My last thing I'll say on this, and I think it's a very comic adjacent thing, which I find very interesting, where let's say in a world where Secret Wars kills it, it's a thing everyone wanted. You get your end game moments, this and that. You get your rah, your screaming TikTok moments, which is sad to say, but you get those in that. And then you go into X-Men and it's not received like that. Then I fear they've put themselves into a comic situation where events are the most important thing going forward.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then the term the hype machine, the popcorn roller coaster theme park movie is literally all you get.
And I mean, it looks like we'll be getting some type of element of this potentially in Avengers Doomsday, of just like a quick little tease, maybe one universe against another. I don't know how it's going to play out, but I do actually feel like, to your point, if Secret Wars and Doomsday succeed very well, X-Men doesn't because it's not well received, I feel like your only path forward is Avengers versus X-Men. Like, as much as that maybe sucks, like, that is, if people aren't well receiving X-Men, that is your only path forward of like, let's have them go against the people everybody loves.
Yeah, which would be weird because I think we both assume that's what Doomsday is mostly going to be.
I think just a piece of it, like my thought is kind of like we probably get like two scenes of an Avengers team fighting the old school Fox X-Men team, and then they go, wait, why are we fighting each other? We should be fighting Dr. Doom. And then they end up teaming up until the old X-Men team's universe is destroyed. Like, that's kind of what I expect to happen, but we will see. I do want to ask you one more question related to the X-Men before we switch over to Ironheart, and that is, what do you think is the most important thing for the X-Men to succeed here? Like, if you were pitching the movie, who are you pitching it around?
Magic. No, I'm kidding.
Obviously, you know what I mean? Like, Wolverine was the centerpiece of the old Wolverine, of the old X-Men. Who are you centering it around? What to you is the most important spot?
I think if you do Rogue well, you should center it around Rogue. But
they did that in the first one, though.
They did. That's the problem. That's why I specifically said if you do Rogue well. Another good one, honestly, could be like if like Nightcrawler really like bring up the idea of what it is to be a mutant and why people hate you, rather not hating like your typical Avengers. That you see that TikTok that posts all the time. Why do people hate the X-Men and not the Avengers? It doesn't make any sense. That's the point. is that it doesn't make sense. So if you kind of lean into that aspect, it can work. Especially like Nightcrawler is like the perfect example of that. There's the infamous, not the infamous, the famous panel of like, you dare call that thing a human, right? Like you bring that aspect in, you nail it. Same thing, like again, when you ask like what aspect, not just a character, I'll bring it back to the soap opera-ness of it. It is a soap opera. That's what makes the X-Men the X-Men. That's why we enjoy the show, whether it's the new version of it or the original version of it. The soap opera-ness of it, where anything can happen. Like they don't have solo movies. It's anything can happen with those characters in that project. You can create relationships, break relationships, move forward with them, whatever. That's what makes them them.
I agree with everything you just said, and I actually think what I'm going to say, instead of a opposition to yours, it can actually just go in with wouldn't fit necessarily with the Rogue story. But I do. One thing I really want out of X-Men and these Secret Wars type Avengers movies, maybe in the same thing, unless they don't do a total reboot, then it can happen in X-Men. You have Brie Larson show up in the X-Men movie as Captain Marvel, and I need to see Rogue siphon her powers.
No,
I want fighting Rogue.
No, I'm about to walk away. Get out of here.
I need Rogue to have super strength, and I need Rogue to have flight. I want Rogue to be a freaking badass going forward.
No. I'm a huge Captain Marvel fan when it comes to comics. The amount of times I've seen that fucking happen,
I don't care. I need Rogue to be
exhausting. You know what I don't need to see? That. You know why, TJ? Do you know how much hate that character gets right now in the MCU? You want people to cheer that moment and take like everything away from that character? It would be weird. No, you allow that to happen by bringing that into the fold. You know how you do that properly without taking it away from Carol Danvers?
I don't think you
do it.
For one, I don't think Carol loses it.
Do it to Binary.
No.
Yes, because I do not need to see that happen to Carol Danvers
Binary,
in the MCU.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant
no.
I thought you meant Monica for a second.
I
thought you meant Monica for a second, and I was like, hell no. But to Maria in that universe, I could see that.
Yeah. I do not need to see that happen.
So to be clear, I am not saying that she siphons Carol's powers and Carol is no longer Captain Marvel and loses them. I'm saying Carol is so powerful that Rogue could keep some of it, and Carol's still Captain Marvel and good to go.
I just don't need to see that happen with Carol.
That's the optics. The optics are bad if it's not Carol. I agree. But one thing I do think is imperative is that Carol does not become the villain in any way. It's just.
Do you know how many people will cheer that moment just because they hate Carol Danvers?
Who cares? You still have Carol doing an amazing because they hate Brie Larson after it. All I'm saying is I just want Rogue to get her powers. All I'm saying is I need Rogue.
You could do that without, you could just do it without it. I don't need to see it. I am so tired of that entire plot.
Well, that's a you problem.
Yeah, because I enjoy the character. I am so sick of it.
Our comic accurate Rogue yet. It's
like
screen.
The amount of times I do not ever need to see the Scarlet Witch redeem herself anymore. We've moved on.
She's got to do it once again. She's got to save the universe because everyone thinks she's the villain right now. Keep it going. Anyways, that wasn't actually the part that I wanted to touch on. I didn't expect that to stem such a big argument, but that was funny. That was fun. Just the part I agree with you is that while I want Rogue to have her powers, I don't want it to be a negative towards Carol at all. And so it would have to be a tight.
It would automatically be.
Not necessarily. Trust people to write a good story. I could do it. I could absolutely do it. Having said that, the thing, and I do think this would actually do well. Sorry, I got a message that I wanted to respond to quick. But the one thing I think is most important is Storm. This has to be a Storm-centric movie, and I think it actually goes well with if people are attacking Nightcrawler, and it is like a big like look at this, like we get that sort of panel that you were talking about. Have Storm be the opposite of to that. Is this is our all-powerful goddess, and she needs to be done right. I love Halle Berry. Halle Berry is not Storm. I love Alexandra Shipp. Tick Tick Boom is one of my favorite movies. She is not Storm. X-Men 97, incredible. Sideline Storm for 3/4 of the season. We need Storm. And we need a really good Storm, a real powerful Storm, and a really Storm-centric story, I think.
I want a Storm solo movie.
Oh, God, that would be so cool.
No, that's what I like. I hate to be like, I don't want her to be like the focus point of the X-Men, because she absolutely should. But I want so much of her story to be in her own movie, because
give us the Wolverine treatment with Storm.
Deserves it. And you know how much she deserves it? TJ, the amount of times we've interviewed Maroa Ayodele, who's the current writer of Storm on the Comic Corner, Storm fans show up.
Mm-hmm.
Marvel's been looking, respectfully, for their Wonder Woman type character in the movies now for well over a decade. Storm is right there. That is your character. That is the character of all the mutants. She needs to have a solo movie. And people show up. People love Storm.
Sorry, I had to get a crying dog. Oh, and a sharp pain in the back as I grabbed him. I'm with you. Give her that Wolverine treatment that we got in the original X-Men universe going forward. Focal point of the team movies, solo movies, backstory movies, team up movies. Give us all of that with Storm. I think that would be incredible.
I'm like, throughout all the movies and most of big media, they've never really delved into like her whole backstory. And that's the whole thing on its own.
Yeah, I agree. I think it would be incredible. Give us some more Storm. That to me would be the key to a really, really strong X-Men movie, because she has just been either omitted or poorly written or poorly cast for so many years now that I think that to me is the number one priority of an X-Men movie. But that is deep in the future. Let's talk about the now. Ironheart premieres on Disney Plus tonight, my friend. And the first question I want to throw to you, because this is a relatively new character. Who is Ironheart? If you've just seen her in Wakanda Forever and that's all you know, where did she come from? Where did she go? Where did she come from? Ironheart.
What a land that was. Yeah, no, when you said like relatively new character, I was like, no. And then the more I'm thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, it was really only 10 years ago. It was 2015. Invincible Iron Man #7, co-created by Michael Bendis and Mike Deodato Jr. She's a girl from Chicago. Look, I mean, a lot of her story that we've seen in Wakanda Forever is somewhat similar to her comic counterpart. She had, a dad and her best friend that were killed in a drive-by shooting. In order to avenge them, she was able to recreate Iron Man armor at the age of like 15, which is wild. She's a very, very, very smart person. And after Civil War II, Tony Stark was presumed dead. And prior to that, he gave her like an AI version of himself and was able to kind of like create the name Ironheart, which was like given to her by the AI Tony. The thing that I enjoyed most about her and what I have read with her is Champions. And Champions is what Iman Vellani says, it's like her Young Avengers, which to me, like, I have my Young Avengers, but Champions are like her Young Avengers. It's almost like the Gen Z Young Avengers, which is kind of neat, which are like includes like Miss Marvel and Miles and Sam Alexander, Braun, like a bunch of characters. And where I think this could go, TJ, when it comes to the Ironheart of its soul And you're seeing some people being like, wow, the show, the ending is pretty huge. And I joked with you, and I'm like, oh yeah, because Scarlet Witch is gonna be with Mephisto, which we know wasn't gonna happen because the comics told us what happened to her. She's dead, guys. She is gone for a while, at least. Who knows what's gonna? She's
coming back. She's
coming back somehow, but that version of the Scarlet Witch is apparently dead, which is really sucks. But what I think we could do, and there's your way that I actually really enjoyed on how like the Young Avengers come together and how they can play an aspect in the movies, which is they're searching for the Wanda to go get her. They do their children's crusade. We can take the Champions plotline and do this instead, which has also been in the background setting itself up, which is called Outlawed. Now, I don't know if we're necessarily going to get like Kamala's Law, which essentially makes it that all youth superhero activity is illegal. And that's how we get our Young Avengers / Champions to come together to do their thing, right? I feel like that can go in that direction. And it makes so much sense also with what's going on in New York, which just made pretty much all vigilante activity illegal. So now maybe on a US wide basis, all youth superhero activity is illegal.
I like it. It does still kind of like come into the, well, Kate Bishop is how old now?
Yeah, define youth.
yeah, exactly. If you can't rent a car, you
youth.
can't be a superhero. Like maybe that's how we have to go about it. But yeah, I like it. I kind of think the best scenario for getting Wanda back, going back to this, which is not what we were talking about, is this. Hey, Ghost Agatha, can your girlfriend help us find our mom? As you get the Young Avengers / Champions together, you have Ghost Agatha leading them down a children's crusade. She finds Aubrey Plaza's death and goes, hey, how do we get Wanda back? And Aubrey Plaza says, I can help you, but you have to go on this crusade.
To be fair, that's not so far off from the actual Children's Crusade, which is like, hey, evil grandpa adjacent guy, can you go help us find our mom? With your estranged uncle's son?
Yeah, exactly. Brandon in chat saying Kate Bishop is now old enough to start having random back pains, just like I am having right now. But that's Ironheart. That's Ironheart. She's technological, and we know this story is also going to roll into the magical side of things, especially with the villain, and that is the Hood, who's also a relatively new character. He debuted about 23 years ago. And he started off in his own solo series as like his very first book. And eventually he didn't really become more, he's not really still a huge household name, but he didn't become a more household name until Brian Michael Bendis took over his character and started putting him into a few different stories. He was part of a cabal with a bunch of evil people led by Dr. Doom and Norman Osborn. And he does have one cool comic moment that is not cool for him, but I thought was fun, that I saw pop up on Twitter, where Emma Frost is reading his mind. He's like, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? Do you know who I am? I'm going to pull a gun on you. And he puts a gun on Emma Frost's head, and she's just like, ha, and mind controls him to take his own gun and stick it in his mouth. And so Emma Frost just absolutely shows him up. And I thought that was fun. But he's basically a thief criminal who steals a hood and some boots or something, I think, even from a demon, and that gives him mystical powers. What do you say?
Said bro stole the wrong thing. It's like sometimes you steal a genie lamp and it works out for you. Other times you steal a demonically possessed hood, and next thing you know, you're kind of just in a bad spot in life. He's got some cool powers though, but he's still not like, I wouldn't call him much of a household name. He's very much like a C- tier villain type character. One of the few encounters I've kind of come across him in my readings is during Hawkeye Freefall, when the Hood steals something from Clint and he has to get it back. There's some other things also with like Black Cat and Mary Jane having to team up to steal something, to steal the Hood, who lost the Hood. So how are you going to get it? Oh, you need to get a thief to go re-steal the Hood. Comic books are silly.
Exactly. Long story short, thief steals a hood from a demon, gets some mystical powers, use those mystical powers to steal some more. Now I have to imagine with the rumors, the reports, I can't remember what's confirmed and what's not at this point, that Mephisto will be a part of this series. I gotta think that
That's
they
been
adapt
rumored for
his
like years at this point. So like to me,
Yeah.
I'll be more surprised if this character is not in this movie. Or sorry, show.
I got to imagine the prevailing theory at this point is the person whose hood he steals is Mephisto. Like this is one of his relics, and that's the demon he takes it from, and that's how he gets involved in this story. But I think it's going to be really fun to really get the mystical and technological elements of the MCU kind of combining into one story. You and I are both such fans of the magical corners of the MCU, and Star Wars, and basically all of our fandoms. Like we like diving into the magical side of things, and so I'm with you. I'm excited for this, and I'm excited for that combination. The last thing I want to touch on with it is all the first reactions that have come through. We have reviews not coming out until later today, right when the episode drops, but we do have the first reactions out already. And the first couple I saw were that it was just kind of fine, mediocre, not Secret Invasion bad, but definitely not one of the better series. And then the more I saw, the more positive reactions I saw. And it kind of just seemed like some will like it, some won't like it, but the quality's pretty good. The story's not going to be for everybody, but the quality is really good. And that actually got me more and more excited for this story. And the biggest thing that seems to be a consensus is that something huge happens in episode 6, the finale. And some people really like it. Some people are pissed off by it. But it has big MCU implications. So this was surprising because we kind of thought this was going to remain in its own little corner, maybe set up some champion stuff. And maybe that is, Champions Young Avengers, that is the big thing in the MCU that it begins setting up. Like maybe it's just as simple as Kate and Kamala and Cassie show up at her door and are like, hey, let's do this. But maybe it's something even bigger. Maybe it's the start of Doomsday. Maybe it's the Fantastic Four. Maybe it's Doctor Doom. Maybe it's Mephisto. Maybe it's
they
Wanda.
give her the Ms. Marvel moment from, which is like one of my favorite moments in G. Willow Wilson's Ms. Marvel run, where she's doing all these things to help her city, to help Jersey City, to help the people as they're in distress. And then next thing you know, she looks up and there's another Earth crashing into Earth. Like the incursion's about to happen. I remember years ago too, when we were getting Ms. Marvel, and we are like, oh, maybe that'll happen in this show, which is hilarious to think about now. Because that show was like 3 years ago when we were still nowhere near Secret Wars. So who knows? We're closer to it now. The next project after this is Fantastic Four. When it comes to big moments, big things that lead into it, my only thing that like outside of the Champions Young Avengers of it all, which I would assume it would lead closer to than a bigger picture. But in the back of my mind, I'm also like, there had to be a reason they dropped this now and not later on. Because if they, as we kept saying, like it's gotten buried. Like us talking about it feels like the most anyone's talked about in a hot minute, and it's coming out tonight. It's not like, Daredevil when I was releasing and everyone was literally counting down the minutes and the seconds for that thing. So why now? Maybe there's a reason they had to get this out before Fantastic Four. If so, that'd be cool. But at the same time, we've also heard and read things online that the MCU is trying to pull back from the TV to movie crossover.
Which they really didn't even do anyway.
Which also, which it really seems like it's happening less and less because it's like, they're crossing over less. But by the way, John Bernthal is going to be in Spider-Man. Yeah.
We will have some fun interviews dropping soon this week with some of the creators of Ironheart from our own Christopher Mills, one of the newest agents. So stay tuned to the Agents Fandom YouTube channel and wherever you get your podcast, because that will be dropping this week. So subscribe, hit the notification bell, hit the like button on this video so you don't miss out on any of our upcoming shows. We're going to have those interviews. We're going to be talking about The Bear next week. We're going to be talking about Love Island on Wednesday. We're going to be, that's tomorrow already. So Tuesday, Ironheart, Love Island, Wednesday, Thursday, Comic Corner, Friday, we'll review the first 3 episodes of Ironheart. Take the weekend off, Saturday and Sunday, relax, hang out with your pets, your family, your friends, whatever you want. And then on Monday, we're back talking about The Bear, and we're back, friends. We had our little break, we relaxed, and now we are fully back in action, and I can't wait to hang out with you all and talk about all of our favorite nerdy things. Damon, I'm going to segue us straight into the exit because I am in pain. And so thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We will see you next time. On behalf of myself and Damon, thank you so much for tuning in.